Hello and welcome. My name is Jessica Gem, and today we will finally be working on doing the line art for Gemstone. So, as you may have remembered last time, I left off with still quite a lot of vines to do, none of the leaves done, none of the berries done. Or I had a few of the leaves, but none of the berries. I actually went in and finished all of those. I finished all the vines and leaves off stream, and I also did a base color for everything. I didn't look at it all together yet. I just did base colors in the individual layers, so I don't know what the full vibe of it is yet. I can speak. So today we're going to finally be lining Gemstone and getting on with the piece. I also finished up the animals. Like, the other squid is now done as well. I figured out all the tentacles off of stream because it was a little, you already watched me do one, didn't want to see another probably, maybe, I don't know. So that's all taken care of. I had some extra time this week, so no need to worry about that anymore. So starting out here, I'm just gonna lower the opacity of my sketch layer and get started on her. So it might take a second to figure out kind of the thickness that I want to do, because since she's a character, I want her to stand out. And I did really heavy variation with the lines in the background, so I don't want to go too thin because that might get lost, but I also don't want to go too thick because that might, kind of blend in with the background. So I'm gonna try and go somewhere in between. Definitely not as thin as the background lines I had in the very back of the cave, but a little bit smaller than the ones in the foreground. So we're just gonna see how we do here. I'm going to be following the sketch very closely because I am really happy with it. So I'm not going to be making any major changes as far as I know. I'm going to try to stick to it and keep in mind that same thickness where the light wouldn't be shining as much. So on this side of the crystals, because the lantern is over here, so I'm trying to think of that direction. This stuff will all be shaded on this side of the body because the light is coming from here and the cave over here. There will probably be some rim light along this edge from other berries or from a blue cave glow in the distance, but for the line weight, I definitely want to keep it focused on where the main light sources are, which is over to this side of the cave. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and line it. No major things to note about the process of doing the vines, it just took a long time. Nothing exciting happened. I just kind of zoned out, had some YouTube videos playing, and just took an afternoon to kind of finish it up. It took at least, I think it was 2 hours and 40 minutes for the rest of the vines and the leaves and stuff, which is, quite a lot for what it is. Like, it's not that impressive, there's just a lot of them. So, well, that's done now, and we don't have to worry about it anymore. That's the main thing. Because now we can keep going on the more exciting things. Like more line art, but of Gemstone this time, so I can talk a little bit more about anything related to character line art, I suppose. So, like I said, I'm just gonna keep it fairly close to the sketch, but trying to keep in mind that variation. I don't want to make it quite as messy as the line art because while these are organic shapes, they're a little bit less, craggy. You would hope anyway, so I am gonna try and keep a little bit more refinement to it. Because this is, in fact, not rocks. She is, you know, despite having the gems and everything on her, she is not rock. So, so we're gonna try and keep organics in mind when working here. And also her little eyelashes peeking outside there. And I was worried at first that I wouldn't get the music going because I couldn't hear it, but turns out the first song on whatever playlist this was just was really quiet. So luckily we do have music. I really hope. I really hope it's playing for you guys, but I can hear it. So that is awesome. Because especially when doing line art, it's really good to have something to listen to because it can kind of be a monotonous task. Like, I do enjoy doing line art, but mostly because I have something to kind of zone out to. Because, as you can tell, it can be quite slow. It can take quite a while to get the exact lines that you want, and I have tried to be looser as I'm, you know, as I'm growing as an artist. One of the things I've been trying to work on has been my speed and my perfectionism, trying to make it a little, you know, good enough most of the time instead of every line exactly how I want. Because that's a honestly healthier way to be an artist, at least from my point of view, because it takes me way too long to do the art that I am doing. And if I can go faster, then I can do more art. Theoretically. Because I have so many ideas, but just so little time and energy for it. So if I learn to go faster, maybe I'll have a little bit more of that. Not really... I don't know if I dig how this hair texture looks here, just because, you know, it's just spikes, but I might come back to that later if it's still bothering me. But again, trying to keep moving on this. Trying not to get too bogged down in the exact details, because Gemstone is a fairly small object in this piece. Like, even though she is kind of, you know, center and front, she's not the only focus. So she doesn't need to be as precise. As I'm looking at it now, though, her lines are kind of thick. Kind of thick, though. I might thin those down later manually, just any like real thick areas like this if they're bothering me, but I've really got to see how it looks with the whole piece first, so I'll just go along like this for now and check that out later. I don't want to get too ahead of myself here and like start changing things without actually seeing how it looks. Let's continue on. Yeah, because these things are kind of thick for being like crystals. I may do colored line art. Again, I still haven't fully decided how I want to render this, which I know I should have by now, I know. But I just haven't taken the time to, because it's been taking so long to do these other steps. I kind of haven't been thinking about it. But now that I'm working on Gemstone, and by the end of this I should have fully finished her. I mean, even based on how this is going, we might have some time for some color, which would be amazing because it has been way too long without some lovely colors in here. So hopefully by the end of this, we not only have a finished gemstone, but also some color in the piece and some, you know, the end in sight. Because I am, like, happy with the progress I've made so far, but again, it has been rather slow. Not only because of me just being a slow artist, but also streaming at the same time. A lot of factors that go into it. I'm still slow even when I'm not streaming, but maybe not quite this slow. Especially not on my iPad, since I'm a little bit more comfortable with it. I used to be really good on this tablet, but falling out of practice does. some parts of art are the same as riding a bike, where you can get straight back into it even if you haven't done it in a while, but some parts really kind of fall off if you're not actively working on them. Like, if I haven't drawn for a while, my anatomy can get really stiff, even though I really like to do dynamic poses. And my faces can get a little bit weird. But then certain things like shading and stuff, albeit a little bit more simple, is, you know, kind of constant, you know? There's always that same kind of quality to it. Well, unless it's just a bad piece, which does happen sometimes. Because not everything can be perfect. But one thing that I've found, which is really interesting, is I don't do like painterly pieces very often, like the blended style. I tend to do more cartoon, line-arted styles. But something that I've found is recently, whenever I do go back and try a blended one, it gets better and better each time, even though I'm not practicing them. And I'm not sure if that's just from better anatomy or from all the art videos that I watch on YouTube, but something about them, something about that in-between time gives my brain the chance to grow somehow. Like, to learn not through doing, which is really confusing to me. I was really shocked the first time I went and tried a painterly style again for the first time in a long time, and I was better at it, despite having not done any of it. So sometimes, you know, taking a break can be good for your brain, for your art brain. Because sometimes I find when my art's not good and I end up taking a little break from it for a while, I come back and I can do things that I didn't think I could do before. Maybe I'm just that type of artist who needs, like, big breaks sometimes to reignite their skill or something. I don't really know. But I am trying to keep these clothing folds a little bit thinner so that they kind of fade a little bit into the background. Even if I only color part of the line art, it would definitely be like the inner lines, the clothing folds and stuff that don't need to be as prominent. Because obviously that's a pretty aggressive fold. So if I do color any, it would definitely start there. Just to make the whole thing a little bit softer, a little bit more united with itself. I am really hoping to get the line art for her completely done. Hopefully in less than an hour. It's been, you know, around 13 minutes so far since I started working on it, so I'd say we're making pretty good progress. It's probably a little bit a combination of me just being more practiced in character line art, and also, even though she has more detail, it's a lot smaller of an area to work with, which may contribute to that. Met Marked Man, hello! You still wonder how Steve can make an interdimensional portal but struggles to make a chair? Indeed. Stairs or a carpet situation. No chairs. Unless you get a mod installed. The chair expansion pack. That is kind of funny. I haven't really thought of something like that before. Complicated redstone machinery with just some dust from the ground that doesn't know how to make a table. That's an interesting way of looking at it. And as I am going along here, I'm gonna try and add a little bit more detail even. So these would be like the boning channels in the vest, or like if it's a leather vest, it would be kind of where it is put together. So I'm gonna just try and add a little bit more visually, because since the background is so much, to really draw your eye to the character, I want them to be more detailed, more of the focus of it, based on how the line art is and, you know, the amount of visual interest they have. I met a guy that cracks a lot of jokes and makes and tells sorta stupid stories. Interesting. What's your favorite type of story to tell? I mean, other than sorta stupid ones, I guess? Subject matter. I'm gonna try and add extra details. I don't want to add too many patterns or anything because this is supposed to be kind of adventuring gear, so it shouldn't be too fancy, but it should be still nice to look at. You call them stupid, but it's purely your opinion. A lot of your tales have a dark side to them. Intriguing. Stupid stories with a dark side. But sometimes when you feel bored, you make them a bit more lighthearted. That's fair. It's good to have range. Definitely want to get this curve right, since it's kind of the top of the belt, so it needs to make sense where it's sitting. Little belt in. I did make a... like, when I designed her, I properly designed her outfit as well. So if I need to reference what she's actually wearing, I can just look over here. I might just keep that up while I'm working, because it's colorful. Some color and some visual aids there. I think this goes a bit too high. Just to kind of say what's going on, since I gave her a bunch of belts and stuff. A lot of stories of yours revolve around one character, Harvey. See? These are fun. I'm drawing one right now. Hilarious. Alright, so I'm gonna try and get this belt in here. I didn't really put any material cues for what each of these are made out of, so I'm kind of going off. Obviously this one's cloth, but this one probably also cloth, just because of how I've drawn it here, because this is this one on the side. So that's kind of under this one. So if this one's cloth, this one is like a leather, and this one's cloth as well. That kind of works. But also, actually, this one's kind of a double belt, but this one might be like a single strip of leather. So I'm gonna... I think that's there. I was combining, I think, the edge of this one into it. So this one shouldn't really have folds because this is also a little leather one. I've just realized as I... So I'm gonna stick to my design because I'm also gonna be using that to make a Minecraft skin for her. So I want to make sure that it's consistent because that matters way too much to me. That's part of that perfectionism I mentioned. How do I describe him? A 7'4" man that has a remarkable feature, that being his face. A featureless void with eyes. They sound very cool. He sounds very cool. Featureless voids with eyes. Spooky. A remarkable feature. A featureless void. That sounds cool. Indeed, but his deeds are far from cool. Ah, the dark side that you mentioned. Murders children for fun. Spooks out travelers. Especially for the fabric, that line variation thickness can really help with the dimension of it. Because for belts and stuff, you know, you want to keep it fairly consistent across the part that you're working on, just since, you know, it's a solid belt. But for fabric, since it's flowing, you can really add that motion with that little extra oomph from the line art, I guess. Not I guess. That's exactly what it is. I know what I'm talking about. You can really add some weight by thickening up certain parts of it on the fabrics, especially. If I could get this line right. Nope. I'm like hitting a bottom in the shape that my hand goes here. There we go. Probably scroll around to try and fix that. Try and get the right curve that I'm looking for. Because I just kind of have my tablet on my lap right now. Which... it can put your hand at a weird angle. Like, when you're drawing with a pen tablet, you don't see... like, your hand is moving down here, but your eyes are looking up here. So it can be kind of confusing for your brain to translate it, especially if you have your screen here, but then your tablet's like on an angle on your lap or something. So I'm really not doing myself any favors with this, but it's good practice because brain exercise? Brain exercise. That. Orphaned at the age of 3, grew up in the orphanage, makes a friend named Mary, grows up, buys a house, gets forced into a deal with a demon in said house, kidnaps some people for that demon because of said deal, makes a plan to kill the demon and wins. Later goes to jail because Mary found out about his deeds. He goes to the afterlife and returns the souls to an appeasing end. And here we are. Interesting. I kind of like that, like, going to the afterlife and returning the souls to an appeasing end, the recompense for it. That's an interesting element to a story. Righting your wrongs. The most questionable part of his character is that he has no moral compass. Interesting. Why is he appeasing his wrongdoings then? No moral compass. Okay. So this bag is... ah, okay. This bag strap. Oh, this is gonna take every ounce of brain power I have. He wants to get them off his back in case they want revenge. Ah. Okay. Well. Right thing, wrong reasons, I guess. It's kinda... this is supposed to be like... stack, so I want to kind of give it. But this fabric has got to look a little bit because we got some that needs to have kind of a top rim. It's a thick fabric, thick and stiff. Blech. Don't think too hard about that. Anyway, I want to kind of make it look like it's actually being pulled in here. Something like that. That's fine for now. We can make some. So this part is kind of pulled in. He said he was questionable. Indeed. So this bag is hanging off her sash here. It's tied to the front there, and then also here, I guess, so it really should be kind of pulling that down. Also, he has 2 friends in said afterlife, aka Hell. I think this might have supposed to have been the curve for this belt, because this one needs to fade in a little bit more. Maybe... oh. What happens if I bring the opacity up? That actually is made clearer somehow. Despite how it looks like a bunch of scribbles, I actually get what's going on here now. So this is where it's kind of tied up, and it's kind of going up from there. Increasing. A demon named Thorn, a guy made of vines and thorns, chill dude, doesn't seek much conflict. I really want to get this looking right, since there's real weight to this bag. Pulling it down. I'll get these folds right. I don't quite like how they look in the sketch check with how I've done the line art for the sash. And half-demon named Hell. Her horns are broken. She wears smart casual attire, most notable for her shark teeth and crow wings. Wow. Smart casual with shark teeth and crow wings. She sounds cool. No, I'm not immediately thinking about how I would draw these characters. What would you ever think that for? Anyway. But yeah, I want to try and get this, because like I said, this bag is tied just straight to the sash, so I really want it to look like it's being held up. So it would probably, you know, it would have a bit of a longer strap, probably wrapped around a couple times to be able to keep this up. Because you would also, you know, sometimes you would just want to carry the sack. So this is kind of like, almost like a purse sack kind of thing. So this would be like wrapped around the belt a couple times. So that's what's kind of holding it up there. But then it would come back up in front. And this one, because she kind of tied it in a way that it'll fade, like that it'll stay behind her while she's walking a little bit, so that it doesn't, you know, get in the way of her legs and stuff as she's climbing. So it's tied in such a way that it has more loose rope on that side. Kind of let it swing to the back. You want to draw him? I mean, as an artist, hearing a description of a character, I automatically visualize it in my mind. And they sound like pretty neat descriptions. I'm probably not going to, but definitely wouldn't be like that. Hey, fair enough it is. Okay, I think that looks alright. Yeah, like I said, don't need to make it perfect. These are just, you know, these are just bits and baubles. They're kind of going to be in shadow anyway, so I don't need to work too hard now that I've got that kind of stuff. I do still need to finish the sash though as I move on to something else, but I think it might be time to take a second from that. I was getting a little lost on the details there. If you're ever getting lost in the details, take a break and work on a different part of the piece. Help re-center your focus. Yeah. Thicknesses. I'm just going to fix my posture here. I am slouching hardcore, which is not the best for me. I have really bad posture, as, you know, a lot of internet artists, desk folks do, so. Okay, I'm actually gonna see where this can. Now the sack can be a bit lumpy, because this has, you know, supplies in it, food, tools, so there will be a few lumps in here. I'm gonna do kind of a similar texture that I did to the background. Try and give it that energetic nature together. Too much though, or else some of the shapes might. I'm gonna kind of some by just adding some volume and reducing the precision of it a little bit, because it's just, you know, like a burlap sack's opening, so it won't be that precise. The bottles, which are glass, however, will be a little bit more precise. I want to try and keep their shapes rather calculated, I suppose. but also I don't want it to be quite overlapping like that because that forms a tangent, or quite not overlapping. That like really close where it's almost overlapping but not quite. So I'm gonna make this bottle a little bit bigger to make sure that it's not tangenting with the bag, so that I can make it actually over. And the line thickness can help with that too, reducing tangent. There we go. Pretty good. And I think this... Would this one be behind? Yeah, they're all her potions and things are kind of pushed to the back so that they don't get in the way, so this would be overlapping, not that one. Instead of drawing like the edge of the sash here, this is closer to the camera. I don't want it to be too big though, to really be bigger than this. To remember where it would form behind those. Yeah, kind of like that. And this one just has the cork off in the dip. Yeah. I'm trying to keep in mind like where it would be behind this. So, making sure that it goes in a circle-ish way. Because that's the shape I decided to do for these. Because it kind of mimics... Well, I realize now that it would have been smart if I did it on purpose because it kind of mimics the glow berries, but I didn't do it on purpose. Let's be honest here, I just realized that as a connection just now. But it mimics the berries because they're round. Anyway. Now, I don't want to make them red because even though they kind of look like health potions and stuff, making them red would be the only red element, because again, I want to keep this color palette really unified, since she is gold, the background's green, and she's also blue, so we're really keeping it in this upper triangle here on the color palette. Alright. Other arm, I suppose? Or a couple details here instead. This is the edge of... Again, that fabric can have a little bit more of the looseness to it, which I really like. The corset, since it's tight against the body, we want to keep the lines a little tighter. The fabric can be loose. Or like that. Especially trying to follow the sketch for this arm, because since it's foreshortened, I don't want to alter it at all because it looks right now, but if I move the lines even a little bit, it could completely throw off the visual of it, because that's, you know, foreshortening is tricky. Just gotta do our best. Thick down here. And her elbow spikes, which are aggressive. I'm not even sure if I want to keep these because they're kind of, you know, they would really get in the way a lot. But also, they're just cool. I just wanted to throw crystals on, you know, every joint. Her hands are completely made out of crystals. Her ears have crystals on them. I really kind of wanted to put them wherever I could, so I guess that included the elbows. Yeah, I might thin out some of the lines up top here. Her head might also be a bit too big, just because of how I did it. Because heads are a proportion that I really struggle with compared to the body, because either it's way too big, or I think it's too big, but then I actually make it too small. Because human heads are pretty big compared to our bodies, but also when stylized, you know, it can get a little bit tricky. So I'm still working on it. Aw, man. I really don't want to do this hand. I like how it looks as a sketch, but when I line it, it might lose that energy. I guess as long as I really try and stick to the sketch and only show what I need. That's the thumb, that kind of... Yeah, because it's really just kind of a scribble that I did here. I didn't draw the individual fingers, and I really like how it looks just as that, but if I'm drawing line art, then I need to parse whatever this is into something visually inclusive. Like, I have to come up with an actual form for all this. Which is just irritating because... Ugh. I gave her crystal fingers and this is a really awkward angle to even draw a regular hand at. Actually, maybe doing crystal fingers will make it easier because it's kind of like, you know, oh, it's kind of indistinct and these lines could be, you know, whatever you need them to be, but I don't know if it's turning out like that. I don't know, something like that. I definitely don't have enough joints on all of these, but that's fine because some of it would be cut. Actually? Maybe not bad. I've just gotta... Looking at my own... Just pulling up my own hand as reference right now. Okay. I did the swoop wrong. The bigger part should be at the thumb. This part comes up. Yeah. Again, because light source, this part should kind of be thinner, because that's... Okay. Not as bad as I thought it would be. It's kind of like confusing when you look at it, but again, it'll be in the distance. It's in the distance, it'll be kind of in shadow. It's not terrible. I mean, you kind of get the idea that she has crystal hands, and then that one's facing away. Yes, not too many, but enough fingers, right? Yep. Okay, ring, middle, finger, thumb. Cool. How much of her thumb? Crystal. Actually, no. I'm gonna leave it like that. I like how it looks. Unless, maybe one line. No. I'm gonna leave it. Okay. Yeah. I guess I can finish the sash now. Some just draping fabrics after doing that hand there. I think a little bit easier on the brain. And again, this is kind of like crimped here because it's, you know, pulled in with the rope. So I want to keep that to it. I do like this like 2-line set here, so I'm gonna try and that, but it's hard to do. Again, you can see just how close and how like up in it I'm getting because of how pixelated it is, but surprisingly these type of details are worth going in for because you can, like, they kind of form the shape of what you're looking at. Depending on the style of like shading and stuff I go for, they really kind of indicate the forms of the fabric. And I want those to be accurate. There we go. That's fine. I don't like how it kind of forms a straight line of pixels, but since this is a hard brush, it just kind of does that. It doesn't have as much opacity variation. So it does form like really hard pixeled edges. I might go in and add like a second layer and blur it after. Not redraw the whole thing, but just copy it. Get a second layer of a blur. to add some softness to it. But again, that depends how it looks with the rest of it, because all the rest of the line art is kind of that same hard, round, or not even round, but the pressure variation. But I don't want it to be too like clinical, because these are, you know, clothing folds, so it's kind of weird how I have the bottom of it there just straight and then folds. I don't like these. Also, I think this is too full. These are adventuring pants. Goofy. I don't like how this connects, actually. Undo it all. None of this. I want to stick to most of the sketch, however, this one part, I don't know if this really suits, like, how it would go. This, like, it's kind of folded over, because she has cuffs here, right? So it's kind of, like, this one shows it really well, but then, since this one we can't really see the cuff, is very confusing to my brain. It might just be that this leg has to move over a little bit to be more covered by the edge of it. Or I guess the pant could move over a bit because it's about the right length for the thigh. Concentrate with all of my brain. Don't know if I love it. To be fair, I think the sketch for the pants wasn't that fun either. Like, it took me a while to figure it out as well. So I don't know why I'm changing my mind on it now, but I'm just gonna kind of follow these. I've decided I've spent enough time trying to fiddle with this and it's not working, so I'm just gonna leave it as is. Alright, I am gonna thicken this up though, because it's supposed to be. There, like that. And now for the other side of the... I don't really draw backs of people much, so this whole region is very unfamiliar to me. The whole, you know, the booty part, I don't really know. That's why I gave her kind of loose pants, like I don't have to be too precise with it. Because I don't know what rear ends look like. I just draw fronts. And arms and sides and stuff at weird angles, but not back angles. Maybe I should do this type of stuff more. But I really like drawing faces. Well, recently actually I've been kind of struggling with my face style. I'm not really sure how I want to render each of the features anymore, because the style that I used to do, I don't really like how it looks. Especially the eyes I've been having trouble with. Because my eyes tend to be kind of simpler, like it's just, you know, that. And, you know. But I'm not really liking how they look recently. And then my nose is, you know. I like to do like a 2-part nose, but also that has been kind of bothering me recently. So I've been trying to add some like other elements to the faces, but I don't know. Why did I draw that so good there? Now I don't want to get rid of it. What? What? Why is my tool way over there? I don't know. Anyway. Workarounds. I'm not sure why that... Ah! My tool's like off-center. Like, look. So this is normally outside of the box over here, but this is where it's saying the center of the box is. What? I do not understand. Anyway. I fixed it, I guess. Just do a quick save there since I've done all this, back to the pants. Now this I kind of do just want to get basically exactly as it is. I don't want to like over accentuate or under accentuate and stuff. I don't want that to be the focus of the piece. This whole elaborate background and stuff just for the butt to be the focus. Ugh. I do want to keep these a little thinner and looser. They're loose adventuring pants. Which is not what I drew on the front. I don't know how to draw pants. I should learn. I definitely don't think I want to do like a seam there at least, but maybe over here? They're like sewn together. Because they're pants, so they have to be sewn together. I don't know. I need to learn more stuff about drawing. I want to up my skills. I'm doing like a year of art challenge kind of thing right now. I've kind of been failing it so far, but I'm trying at it, which is good, where I'm doing like gesture studies and I'm supposed to be doing style anatomy studies and stuff like that. Let's go out. And a scene in 1-point perspective and stuff. It's by Mark Burnett, who I think that's his name. I don't watch him. I find his video style a bit too much for me. Hey Skymurum, welcome! Yeah, I find his style a bit too much for me, but that video title did get me. So, I have been trying to do that because, you know, a year of art, like it's a good idea to try and improve a lot, especially since I'm doing all this stuff this year. You know, streaming, YouTube, hopefully getting commission stuff taken care of soon. I have started a little bit, like all I did was put up a post on DeviantArt and renew my website, but starting to try and work towards it. I've been doing a lot these first couple months of the year, okay? But I'm working on that. Hopefully I'll get a store up as well. I don't know if anyone will buy from it, but it would just be good to have there in case. Anyone is interested in anything like that. Yeah, I've just been working on that a little bit. I haven't been doing it every day, so I haven't, like last month I didn't finish all of the 30 gestures, and this month there's 80 that you're supposed to do. I have been timing them this month because I think I was taking like triple the time I was supposed to in January. But yeah, it's even still, it's been fun to kind of do gesture practice and then have something to check off, because I also made a Google sheet with like the things that I needed to get done this year. So I have a certain number of streams that I need to do, a certain number of YouTube videos that I need to post, Instagram posts, money, stuff like that, commission jobs, voice acting jobs that I want to get like a minimum amount of this year to try and motivate myself, have like an actual visual checklist, and it's on Google Sheets, so it's easy to change and edit so that I don't get frustrated when it's filled with marker 2 months in and I can't see what I'm doing anymore. Just keeps things a lot neater. Because I've never used that type of stuff before, like sheets or docs or anything like that. You may be wondering how, and it's because I was indeed homeschooled. So I didn't really have use for any of that stuff. So I am but a babe in the world of computer management. So it's been kind of nice getting to learn that a little bit. Because, you know, it's just practical in modern society. But yeah, so I've been using that as my yearly to-do list, and it's been going pretty well so far. Like, I don't think I've fallen behind on any of my goals for the time period that I should be in. Obviously, I don't have, like, an exact date-by-date type of thing. It's just kind of a number, but I can still get a gist of when I'm doing enough or not. Because most of my goals I split into, like, yearly. So, for Instagram posts, there's 52. Like, I'm supposed to be doing one every week. Which I don't think I have been. I might need to catch up on that, but I find it so hard to post on Instagram. It's just not fun. I like scrolling through Instagram, but posting, it only takes like a couple minutes, but just kind of monotonous, I guess. And I get like 6 likes on my post, so it doesn't feel even worth that. To be fair, I don't post the best work there. Like, I used to only post like things that I was kind of fairly proud of, like finished pieces, but I didn't, you know, that's a lot of work. I don't make a full finished piece every single week. Sometimes I don't make any art in a week, like the last couple weeks. So it was stressing me out. I was like, I don't have stuff to post. Like, there's nothing, I don't have anything new, I don't have anything good. So I decided to use it more of like a dump account, but it's my only account. So I just post like old sketches there, old stuff. Right now I'm just kind of trying to clear out my older D&D sketches, and then soon I'll be posting newer stuff, but again, not a ton of new stuff, and I might do more like works in progress, advertisement stuff, I don't know. But again, it doesn't get out to many people, so I don't have huge pressure on myself to like try and make that work. I'm just not that interested in social media. I know you have to make connections to grow as like any of the things that I'm trying to do, but I'm just so bad at it. That's one of the things that I need to work on, is actually like maintaining relationships and a network. I've gotta learn how to network. Because I'm just not active in communities. I just don't know how. And I've never really been interested in it. I guess it's not really like a waste of time if I'm doing networking on it, but if I'm just there to do networking, then it would feel disingenuous? Disingenuous? One of those. Any speed hero. I don't know. Anyway. I don't really know how to do that stuff. Even though it's a really important part of being a creator, so that's probably one of the things that I need to add on to my to-do list. Learn how to be a person. But I'm extremely introverted when it comes to social stuff. So, you know, it's not easy for me, and it's not supposed to be. Like, I know it's a lot of work to properly network, but for me it's like even more work since I'm really not made for that type of stuff. Because I've also got some like mental stuff going on. I haven't been officially diagnosed with anything, but probably ASD based on just a lot of my life habits and behavioral stuff. So I'm not really one for self-diagnosing, but I've, you know, it's been mentioned to me by a few different people, so it's not really self-diagnosing. I've kind of been friend and family diagnosed, but it makes a lot of sense, so I'm not really gonna argue with it. But social stuff is like really difficult for me. Even though I'm a part of like a few different group type things, I'm not really involved in them unless I'm, you know, I get given work, I do the work, I hand in the work. I don't chat in generals in Discord or anything. In fact, as soon as I get in a Discord, the first thing I do is mute every channel that I don't need immediate notifications in, because notifications stress me out. I hate having active notifications. My favorite thing to do is delete a notification that I'm done dealing with. And if I don't need to deal with it, then I do not want to see it. So it's really hard sometimes to, like, engage at all. Maybe I'm just a terrible person who just doesn't really care, but I want to. Does that count for anything? Anyway, but yeah, so that should probably be part of my goals, is learn to network. At least. Like, networking doesn't have to be the same as being just casually social, I guess, right? It's kind of like a different ball game where it's more like professional and kind of business based. This is really weird that it's doing this. Where's the bottom? I don't know. This is annoying me so much. Just let me have the bottom of this box. This is not supposed to be over here. I'm not sure what's going on with this tracking. It's really weird. Probably would have been easier to just... Anyway. For some reason all my tools are like an inch to the left. Really throwing me off. Didn't really clarify how this line... I really like this shape to it. Maybe I'll just try and keep it a little bit high. Oh yeah, I can make this a little bit thicker since it's the back of the arm that's like the opposite from where... Cool. And these have to be crystal, which I did not draw. But they're just the first joints, so like kind of each joint is its own crystal segment. So I've just gotta do like one crystal for each of these. Also, every time I draw the hands, the fingers will be different, and the crystals on the legs will probably be different. I think for this one I did my best to kind of make it work with the reference that I had, but that's probably not always going to be the case, because frankly, crystals can be complicated, and I don't know why I chose to do this to myself, making a character coated in crystals, but I like how she looks, and I've made her my stream avatar, so I can't just ditch her now. I wonder if I made, like, if I made a VTuber, how the crystals would work on it. Like, if I could get them to move well without, like, folding. I mean, surely other people have done VTubers that have, like, solid elements, right? That don't need to bend, but they do need to kind of move around. I don't know. That's also a community that I kind of want to get into, because I'm interested in being a VTuber, like, and trying it out. Or at least making a model. At the very least, I want to make a model because they just look so cool. Like, that's why I got a pngtuber, is because I wanted to... I like the making the move. I like the making my art move. It looks so cool. Unfortunately, I don't have quite enough patience to just animate all the time, because I love how animation looks. I love seeing my artwork move and exist. Like when I do a physical piece or when I print out some of my art, it's so cool. But it's a lot of work to animate. I have a little bit of experience with it, and by a little bit I mean like I've done 3 or 4 animations. But yeah, I don't... Oh, for goodness sake, why is it like this? This is bothering me. This? There we go. This is really weird. This is not how these tools are supposed to work. Guessing where the... Okay. I think I want all of this to be a little bit... Because they are gem hands, they are chunky, but I also don't want them to be chunky, like... I really like the sketch that I did for these hands. Why did I do a full good hands sketch when her hands are made out of crystals? Erg. I don't know. But anyway. I don't even think I realized that I was doing that. That I was doing like a proper sketch for her crystal hands. Oh well. I really like the bottom of that wrist there, but it's kind of thick. There we go. Again, this part's weird because it's thinner on the bottom because the light source is coming. Really, now that I think about it, some of these... Actually, no, I did a pretty good job. Maybe I was thinking about it more than I realized. This crystal up here. Other than that, it looks pretty good. Because often I just do like based on where the top is for my shadows. Like I'll just do where the bottom is thicker. Because, you know, that just how brain work. A lot of lights are above, so it's just the safest bet. Okay. Ugh, I don't like how this looks. I don't like it. It doesn't look good. I think maybe because this is the pinky finger and this is the middle finger, so it's supposed to be like the one next. It'll also be that thickness. That helps a little bit, I guess. There should be a... this knuckle wrap. Something about it is still bothering me. Also, apologies for the squeaky chair. I am hopefully getting like a hand-me-down one soon that doesn't squeak. So hopefully that will be resolved. Why do I feel like this finger is further than that in the middle? Maybe it's just because it's too thick up here. I think that helped a little bit, at least. Well, this finger looks like it's sticking up. I just had them all a little bit too thick. Dead meme to anyone? No? Alright. Moving on. Lantern? Yeah, I've already drawn the hand in a lantern pose because I wasn't sure. Maybe I wanted a torch after all, but I think can I still do a torch with that hand? I mean, I could just change the hand completely, but that would be a pain, and I don't want to do that, so. When you can, it's probably smarter to have a lantern, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, but like I was saying, my face is, like I was saying way long ago, that I just remembered because I have this face here. My faces are like, I don't dislike them, but something about them isn't it anymore. Like, I want to advance them a little bit in their style. I'm actually gonna do this lantern on a separate layer. In case I need to make it bigger or smaller, then I can do that a little bit easier. Although I'm gonna try not to, because then it kind of messes up the lines a little bit. Since this is a hard brush, and this program doesn't really keep your quality of lines if you move stuff, it gets kind of really fuzzy really quick if you move anything. So that's why that's one of the reasons that I try to do really good sketches, so that I'm not moving the line art around in the end. That can make it see. because I don't use massive canvases or anything. I think, like, this one's just 1920 by 1080. Like, it's just the size it needs to be for, like, a YouTube thumbnail. Actually, that's probably too big, but I also want it to be still good quality when you look at it full size. But, like, that's just the size you need, no more, no less. But I kind of want to try using bigger canvases so that I don't have the same issue. But since I've been working with slow computers for a really long time, you know, I couldn't ever have a massive canvas because it would just not run well, it would overheat. You know, it's gotten just worse and worse and worse. I probably need to get new thermal paste for it. For my laptop, but I just haven't been able to use a really big canvas, and some of my programs on my iPad, they have like a maximum canvas size of like, I think 4,000 pixels is IBIS paint, which, don't get me wrong, it's a fair sized canvas, but I don't know, some people use like massive canvas. I have no idea how. This is the worst part of line art, when you have to draw like solid mechanical materials, like guns are no fun, lanterns, or like, this is not only straight lines, but straight lines in perspective. You gotta be kidding me, dude. It's just not as fun to do because you don't have that freedom that organic shapes have. Like, yeah, the arm lines can be a bit bendier than usual, but it won't look that weird because they're organic. They bend. But when it comes to this, if it's bendy, then you're like, that lantern is broken and messy. It's annoying because I want to do it good. I don't like doing straight lines. Maybe I should, like, stylize them somehow. Should figure out how to stylize materials that I don't want to draw. That's another something that I'm greatest at. But I am an artist on my own journey, and I'm learning as I go along, and I am ever expanding my visual and practical library of knowledge and experience by drawing this lantern. Anyway, you know what might actually help is if I... That's not what I thought it would do. Is if I rotate the canvas? Ah! If I get like a better angle for these straight lines. Sorry, I just remembered what key it was. It's on my number pad. But this also not... Like, it does give you a boost in drawing the lines at the right angle, but then also it makes it harder to tell what's in perspective and what's not, so while it makes it easier for your hand, it does not make it easier for your brain. At least for my brain. That's why it's best to kind of figure out a base first, so that you have something to work off of. Like, I did that first little layer to give myself the angles that I need. And now I kind of know what perspective it's on. Sort of. Except I still got it wrong, because I am a genius. This is bothering me. I don't want to do this. When I, like, go into a program on my iPad where I can be a lot more precise, draw this lantern, and then just paste it in here. This is so tricky. That's at the wrong angle. It's too... Oh, gosh. This tool is bothering me. Okay, I'm gonna try closing out real quick and reopening Krita to see if that will help. Because my tools do not normally do that, they're normally, you know, where they're supposed to be. So let's just open. Let's try this again, Krita. Ah, it worked! Victory! Genius. It only took a couple seconds. Saved me all this pain. But yeah, so this should be a lot narrower. Like that. I'm not used to doing stuff on such a severe angle, so my brain doesn't really know how to flatten it out properly. But that is why we love the shape transform tool. Actually, this was 10, right? Yeah. My line art is 10. I don't want to go too big with it. Nice. Oh, I should have been using the symmetry tool. Because we're at a direct angle from the corner. Dang it. Oh, I'm using it now. Perhaps, if it is on the right angle. Center. Nope, it's not. That's okay. It's better to do it like this anyway. Symmetry tool can look unnatural. Anyway. Copium. Trying to make myself feel better. Let me. It doesn't help that it's getting hotter in this room as I'm getting frustrated with trying to draw this. But hopefully it doesn't come through. I'm really sorry if it does. I'm just really warm. I'll try and turn it off in a second. I just need to cool down for a moment. It's blowing like directly on me. So I should be able to turn it off in just a minute. I'm not wearing like hot pants or anything. I am wearing pants, but I'm not wearing like hot ones, thick ones. Thick ones is probably a better way to say that. This scientifically, making noises when you draw difficult lines helps. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise, and it's not weird, okay? Alright. Yeah, see, it helped. No, I'm not gonna try and make this too ornate. Like, I could do a bunch of details on it to make like a really fancy lantern and stuff. I'm not going to do that, not only because this is too small to get any details looking good, but also because it's just a cave travel lantern. It doesn't need to be anything gorgeous. It's not a beautiful lantern outside a diner or something. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, moving on. Same angle here is at the top. I'm not doing anything fancy with the perspective here, other than making it in perspective. Not doing any special types. 2-point where it's suddenly at a different angle. I am not about that right now. I'm about getting this lantern done so that we can move on to color. I think this is the last thing I have to line, right? Yeah. I mean, this and the laces. Ah, the laces. Rats. That'll be a pain. Unless I just do them like I did the vines, just on a separate layer, and then I just color how they are instead of doing line art for them. That might be smarter since they're pretty thin. The most basic design feature that I add to any environment, like any wood or any metal edges that I have, just these indication lines. Baseboards in a house, indication lines. This metal lamp, indication line. That is the entirety of the shape I'm doing. But you know what? Maybe they're close enough. I do want to fix this edge though, because the other one goes out a bit further and has a bit steeper of a drop. Got like this flat base kind of thing. So the actual shape of this is like that as indication for it. Just the shape of it. Anyway. It's too close to the top. Load up. There we go. Close enough. Just a few more lines in parallel, I promise. It's pretty good, actually. This will probably be completely, like, blown out by glow anyway, based on my track record, because if it glowing, it glowing. It's glowing so much you can't even see the detail anymore because it's glowing. Okay. And this is what we do when our lines aren't parallel enough. We just expand it till it is. Alright. And now, if I don't put my pen in my mouth so that I can still talk, I've just grabbed my... Well, I just grabbed my mouse there for a second to deselect something. Or, not deselect, but to... I don't know why I grabbed my mouse. I really know that I had something that I was gonna do. Oh, right. I'm just going to select this here and put my pen down instead of in my mouth so that I can still talk. I'm gonna try and duplicate the selection? Copy selection, a new layer. And actually I'm gonna merge that down because that's thicker and I like it. Merge with layer below. Copy selection to new layer. And then edit. Here. Or horizontal. Guys, look, I'm cheating, oh no! Wahahaha. Hacks are hacks. You don't have to draw it twice if you flip it and distort it. Yay! We're done with the lantern. Unless I draw the inner bits. No, I'm not going. Oh no! Now I said it. Merge. Okay, so now the lantern, yeah, it's all on its own layer. That looks pretty good, actually. Pretty happy with that. Except this side is bowing out a little bit. Oh no! I'm getting into the details. As if I haven't been this whole time. Anyway. It's fine. It's not fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not going to look at it anymore. Well, actually... Okay. I know I'm insufferable, however. Hear me out. That's how I am, and if you like me, you have to deal with it. Ah. Do I want vertical or horizontal? I think vertical, because I like both of them, but vertical is the one I did first, so I wouldn't have to. But this side is still bothering. I think it's just like 1/2 pixel. Like it was just too dark on that extra pixel. There we go. I think that's about right. That's about right. I'm gonna stop looking at it for real this time. I should cover it with a square. Just accidentally does that on the same layer. No! I'm not done looking at it, guys. I have an issue. Just like the top, I'm not used to doing stuff on this angle, so this is a bit too severe here. Okay. All of my brain cells were born to die for this. There we go. Okay. Okay. That's good. I'm not doing it anymore. That's not even Gemstone's face. Why did I don't know whose face that is. It's cute. I like it. But it's just not how I want my faces to be anymore. Like for like smaller, like full body illustrations, sure, but whenever I draw like a big face, it's just far too simple for my taste. Like Gemstone's face at least has the interest in the lips and the nose being kind of unique, and then, you know. Actually, her face is completely different from the faces I normally draw, because I did that on purpose. Alright. Lantern. Laces. I'm just doing the laces on a separate line. On a separate layer. Not even doing rivets. Are you proud of me? Well, why am I like this? Why do I go, oh, but it has to go underneath because it's laced up? I honestly frustrate myself with how perfectionist. Doesn't need to be real. It's a drawing. Okay. Like, does that add to its quality at all? If it's ever so slightly more realistic. Like, she has gems for legs. Is it really worth the extra time to make the laces go under the edge of it? I don't know, but apparently my brain decided yes. Indeed, it must be. Because you force yourself to do it with everything. Ugh. Sorry, I realize I've kind of been a little bit whiny on this one. I would like to apologize. Formally. To all watching. Like I said, line art, I like to do a little bit more brain off. I like to have something else playing because it can get kind of monotonous. So I guess I entertain myself by complaining? Something like that. Anyway, I'm almost done here. Once I finish these. I feel like I'm going at less and less of an angle each time. That's probably not helping. Oh, also, these should go behind. It's the back. Oh wait, no they shouldn't. Because these just go straight into each other. Okay. Wow, my brain is trying to make it not only more complicated than it needs to be, but more complicated in the wrong way. Okay, and then the tie... I mean, there would still be a couple more laces here, and then the tie would be down here. So we don't have to worry about that. I am just gonna trim off some of the edges, because they're a little bit too far into the back of the cord. Because you really want these to sit right at the edges, so that there's no, like, bunching from the edge of the corset. Because if you had them too far in, then this whole part would just, like, come out, stick up weirdly in between them. Which is not important for a drawing. Oh man. A pain. Alright. So now, her main lines are done. Yes, hooray. We're gonna add a couple more detail lines here and there, but they're going to be, you know, just to add some extra flavor. So, some more detail lines on the corset to add some more dimension. Like here, there would probably be a channel for where the rivets all are. Rivets. Well, hey look, I'm being less precise, right? I could fix that one, but I'm going to now that I pointed it out. Anyway. I'm not even worried about them hitting the edge there. Definitely it's not stressing me out. Okay, well I don't want them to overlap too far. That would be ridiculous. This fantasy drawing of an elf covered in gemstones that grow out of her biologically. Okay. I'm normal. Actually, I just said earlier that I probably wasn't. I don't know. Hopefully some people find my personality entertaining. One of my best stats in real life appears to be charisma somehow. And here, these don't really make sense, but I don't need them to. I'm just gonna link them down there to add some extra detail. Actually, it does make sense on the far side because it's like the thickness of it. It should more be kind of like that. This is just like a loose shirt, so it probably wouldn't have too many folds up here other than from being around the collar. Actually, that added quite a bit of dimension. I like that. And then if I did the thickness on the other side, I can do it here. And these little lines, like, you don't have to do these. I don't even normally do all the little stuff like this if I'm just working on like a sketch or something, but since I want this piece to be fancier, like, I want to do a really good job on this piece, that's why I've been working so hard on it. Because sometimes I don't do a good job on stuff, but this one was just really like, I want to do a good job on it. So since I'm gonna add like all these extra details, like stitches on, which can be farther apart, so I don't need to do. They're just little crisscross stitches, and they don't look perfectly like it, but when I zoom out, it should give the illusion of it. These are, of course, reinforcement stitches. The actual stitching would be the full way along the bag, but these are just bigger ones of extra support. Because that's necessary to think about when designing a fantasy character. I am not going to do any seams on the shirt because I like how it looks already. Her hands are gold, these are gold, these don't have anything. I already did a stitch line on the pants. Would she have one in the center of it? I don't really want to do that because I feel like that'll make it look like weird because they're not like tight fitting or anything. I don't want to do a butt seam. I don't need to do that. Self or to any of you. Oh, the liquid in the bottles. Bottle around. Ah, I like that. That's fun. And then this would have, you would be able to see the slight, well, the cork comes down in the far edge of the. Do I think too much about stuff like this? I entirely could. Also, you would see kind of. I'm not gonna fully line. So it's kind of like more of an indication. Because these are gonna be semi-transparent liquid. Because this line art is on top of the color, so that's why I'm doing it really light, so that I don't have to do like a transparent layer over the line art. And then also the sash. Cool. It's fun. Oh, I like how that looks. That looks so cool! It's like kind of translucent. Ha ha ha! Sorry. I like it when stuff works out. Especially when I haven't really tried stuff like it before. Yeah. I was just thinking, oh, what if I did the same for her gems? Like if they were kind of see-through and you could kind of see the cave background through it. I'm not gonna do that. Her gems are solid. That would be... If I ever want to do like a realistic piece of her, then I would definitely do something like that, but that would be so much more work, so much more hassle, and I would have to do like the background first, know what colors, and well, I mean I already did the background first here, but that would be like a painterly. That's not something I'm gonna do here. That would definitely be a study of some kind if I wanted to learn how to do better gems, I guess. But yeah, I think that's pretty much her line art. I do... sorry, I do want to adjust this part here, the head here a little bit. I don't really like how this... Make it a little bit more subtle. Because again, I don't really know like what substance her hair is, like if it's gold, like kind of gold strings. Because the way I drew it before, it kind of looks like just a piece of gold on her head, which is not true. She has hair, kind of, but I don't really know how stiff it is or how flowy it is. Because, you know, I don't really have access to gold thread or anything, so I don't know what it's like. I guess I could look it up, but I don't really know if I want it to be anything that really exists. It's kind of like its own, just like her gems where they're like a biological hybrid. So it's like a gold mineral bio fiber. I don't know. Something like that. Let me try something. Since I don't like how that looks, what if I did hair bits? Or like that indication of texture. Ooh, I think I like that better. Should I do that on her whole head? I don't know. This piece, I kind of want to do that, but since this piece, even the grass, like the moss and stuff, is just a thick edge, like there's not really that much texture to it aside from the line variation, I think for this piece I'm gonna keep it solid, just for the nature of this piece, just so that it doesn't like stick out weirdly, because as much as I did like that texture, it didn't really fit. So we'll leave it like that for now, but again give it more of that variation, more of that natural feel. And I'm also going to stick it off the side of her head a bit so it doesn't look like it's flowing straight into her neck. Do that by removing this tangent here. Like that. So now it's all connected, but there's a little bit more life to it. Like, it doesn't feel like just a solid 3 chunk, like it was weird before. Thicken some. Still want it to have that look. I think, unfortunately, I really like how that looks, but it goes too thin there for the rest of it. Okay. And now, flip test. I'm actually gonna hide the sketch so that we just see her line art, so that we see it for what it is, and make sure that when we zoom out, the silhouette is right. So I think the head is wrong. Something about it. Maybe the neck needs to come in further. It feels too big. Even though it's probably not, because anatomy. And also it doesn't need to be precise, but I think maybe if I have this angled like in a bit more. Because it looked like her head was giant because it was kind of going straight into it. I haven't really done heads on this angle, so it's, you know, it took a few tries in the sketch and it's still not perfect, but I think that helped a lot because then it looks like her head's actually going forward, which explains why you can't see more of her neck. Cool, I think, yeah, I think that's Gemstone. Actually, these areas here, these crystals are, the line art is a little bit thin on them. Like all of them consistently. Like when I zoomed back, I noticed I just wasn't really seeing this hand very well, which is kind of good for me because then it kind of recedes into the background, but it also looks a little weird, like something's missing. So I'm just gonna thicken up the lines on this far side like how they are for everything else. The far side of each finger. That definitely helped. Now it doesn't look like I just forgot it. And use wrap. There. I just indicated that that hand is in fact 3D. Cool. I think that is Gemstone's line art. Ah. Okay. This face shall forever exist because I cannot let things go because I have a problem. Copy selection to new layer, hide that, put it in other stuff. I'll just rename it random. It looks so friendly. I just like it. And now I'll go ahead and delete it. Whoops! That's interesting. I don't know why it deletes that part of every layer. Huh. I didn't know it did that. Anyway, and it's gone. But it's back and it's gone. It's back and it's gone. Okay. Alright, so that is safe and sound over there now. So now we can do her color. Select these, put them in a group, name them her, because I do that with my characters. I just call the layer her instead of their actual name. Because it's not necessary to do that. Alright. So, go ahead and grab selection. So this is how I did all of my color fills in this program. It's not the most effective way. I know there's ways that you can set up like commands and stuff to do this. Probably easier way to use other tools to do it, but this is what I do. So I select the outside, and as you notice it doesn't select the lantern. That's because it only selects the layers that you have that you're like on, unless I can do it. So if I group them and select the group instead, then it'll draw from the whole group. I think there's a way to set it to take from the whole canvas, but I don't know how to do that. So then I go into select, row selection, 2 pixels, select feather selection by 1 pixel. So that just makes it so that the edges aren't sharp pixels, because if you ever, you know, hide the line art or if anything peeks out, then it can look really weird. And then select invert selection. So what that does is that gives us this nice selection right around the border, and then where these kind of semi-transparent pixels are at the edges, because we feathered the selection, those won't be colored in unless we, you know, color over this all over and over and over again. To, like, fully fill all the edges, but we're not going to do that because we don't need that. We just need the base, le base color. So I'll go back to my paint layer. And there we are. And then if we had any like weird little gaps, then we can go in and fill them in. Like this eyelash here got selected, so we can erase the color in there. Anything that's missing it, like the thinner edges of these crystals. But again, we don't need to be too precise, because all these are little edges and they won't really show. And if they do later, then we can fix them later when we actually see in there. See, the thinner lines can, you know, it can go in past them when you do a feather. So like this line down here where it's kind of missing a section of it. But really it just takes like a once over of the edges to kind of fix it up, but it's still way faster than coloring it all in by hand. Even though I find that fun sometimes, it is very time consuming and unnecessarily so. That time could be spent on making progress on other parts. Like coloring in the actual colors, for example. So there is her base. So now, ooh, I kind of want to put it all together, but I don't want to look at that yet. Well, I guess, no, we can do adjustments later, but for now, the background. I've hidden all of these layers. So we're gonna start by getting some of the background in here. And then we'll hide each piece as we go along, so then at the end, we can have a really fun reveal where we make everything visible and we can see all the different layers and colors. So I've just made my brush really big here. Gotta stop yawning. Made my brush really big here, and actually, I hate to tease like this, but before we do that, I should do a color key. Because this whole thing is going to be different shades of kind of blues and greens and grays. So we really want to know what we're working with. So I'm just gonna make a quick... Does this work? Hey. Not sure if this will actually... I just want to put... Instead of coloring all of them at the same time... Yeah, there we go. I'm just gonna put this layer over top so that we can see where everything is. But since all these pieces are different, that would take a really long time each individually, because we're probably going to be coloring the line art for those later on. I'm not completely sure, but it's likely, since I want a softer feel to everything. So the overall tone of the piece is going to be grays and blues and greens. So I'm going to start with this neutral gray here, just as we go. And I'm just going to pick a big airbrush. Does this one work? It does work. Big soft brush. Just to get an idea of the areas of color that we're going for. So in the background here, this very back cave space is going to be light. Because it's going to be like the distance fog. We've talked about a couple times how it, in Minecraft, it kind of fades into view. And then it's just going to get darker towards the front. Now, obviously, this is not as dark as it should be, right? Like, this cave would be way darker than this, and to have the glow effect actually work, it needs to be a dark cave. So after I do this base color key, I'm probably going to put some layer styles over it to darken it up and add the contrast where I need it. So for now, I just need the base color to go across all of these, and I'll be adding other layers to adjust them later, and then once I have colors that I like, I can just pick straight from them if I choose to do so, which I might, because that would be easier, and then I would get the actual look that I made. So I'm basically just going a little bit darker with each layer. I don't want to get to a full black, but it's pretty close up in the front here. These, but then this area might lean more towards the warmer. Well, no. The moss is straight on the rocks, so it doesn't even need to be. This area can all just be the same gray. Why did I say that weird? This area can all be that same gray. I think the Siri on my iPad just woke up because I said this area. This area. That's funny. Anyway. And then I'll just go ahead and select this same color from here and turn it over to a green so that it's the same layer, like level of darkness. So again, this is all not staying. This is just a color study. I've already done the base colors, so once I have these, I'll just be able to select them and fill them all. So it'll be really satisfying when I get to it, I promise. And then the water will be glowing. It'll have the squids in it in these areas. And then from there, it'll get a little bit darker, because it is still cave water. So it won't be bright the whole way around. And I'm gonna do an even darker version once I am finished with this base layer. To make sure that we have all the blues in. Even darker and more desaturated the further away from the squids it gets, because then it's just reflecting the light of the rocks. Or the color of the rocks, rather. So it gets a little bit more gray. But I'm still gonna have this sort of glow through all of it. These ones especially, since they're kind of a little bit further away, they get kind of dark over in the back here. Then this light, grab again, kind of softly gradiate it. Again, doesn't need to be too precise, but I do want to get a pretty good idea of what the lighting scenario will look like. And then I can even just color directly over top of these in the areas that it would catch. So this would all catch from from underneath. This would catch from over top. So these areas would all be hit by the blue light very slightly. And this whole edge here just is. And this edge, because it's facing forward. There would probably be some spilling through the crack here because these are two separate rocks. Maybe even reflecting on a few of the ores around. The whole area would be kind of lit up with the blue. But then less and less as it goes back because it wouldn't reach that far. A bit darker. Something like this, but with more saturation. These grays won't be quite so gray. I'm gonna make them on a little bit more of the blue side just to keep more saturation in here because I really love using bright colors. I really love lots of color, lots of brightness, shiny, glowy, saturation, just make it obnoxiously bright colors, even in dark scenarios. Just because I like them. They're just more fun to me. So that's what we do. And I completely forgot to color this waterfall here. But there's no squid in it, so it can all kind of be a little bit darker. Especially at the top there. Then there is a squid right under it, so it still would be reflecting some of that lightest. And there will be our yellow. So all of the vines are brown, so they'll just be, you know, hanging around here because the vines just are brown. In the Minecraft caves, the vines are brown, the leaves are green. So just gonna do this. And again, I'm just drawing all on the same layer because none of this matters. It's just a color key for testing stuff out. And the glowberries are kind of like an orangish yellow. I'm gonna keep definitely away from the red as much as possible because I really want this to stay in this half of the color wheel. It's kind of a big spread for any specific color palettes, but it's definitely, you know, kind of in this upper third even. Not quite a full half, but staying within the teal to warm yellow zone. Because I don't like cool yellows. Like this area here, I avoid it. No cool yellows for me. Like no greenish yellow. It's hard to pull off. It's not a color that I enjoy, so definitely stick with the golden yellow, which is very on theme. I'm just gonna do some berries just to get an indication of what we're looking at, because I did put berries on all of the vines, which I could easily hide because I kept everything on separate layers since I'm not sure what we're fully going for. But yeah, just a bunch of the berries, and then they'll have I just said no cool yellow, but they'll have a bit of a cooler glow because they're on all the stuff around them. This will have kind of glow. Ooh, that looks kind of crystalline there because of the way I did the reflections. This back of the waterfall will have sort of a glow. Yeah, all this stuff will kind of end up having a warm glow. The top of here as well, so it won't be as dark as it looks because it's still got a glow with orange / yellowy colors. So like none of this will be as dark or as desaturated as it is here. It was just to get an idea of the values before, and then with the glow it changes a lot. And then this side of the waterfall would still have some residual yellow. These rocks here would also get some yellow. Underneath back here, just because of this vine that's crawling across the top. Top of this waterfall might get some, as well as like the whole front of this one. There's probably some like berries reflecting in the water down here. And then they'll be following that path. These ones would just be on the edge closest to us. Again, these berries are still behind this forefront rock here, so we don't want too much glowing on the front, but there is still definitely a presence of this light here. But yeah, something like that. And then Gemstone is kind of a dull blue aqua. Skin's a little bit duller, and then her crystals are a really bright color. So if she's here, but then her crystals are really bright blue, quite that bright, a little bit more aquamarine, that, and then she's got her brown. Now this I should have probably done. Her pants will not be purple. Whatever color I decided on them for them. I'm gonna get rid of this actually, just to keep this idea here. Gemstone kind of slots into all of this. She'll kind of be cohesive with this whole color palette, so it'll end up looking nice. But now let me show you. Let's just do this. So I'm gonna take just the brightest pink. Eye strain warning because this will be bad for a second. Oh, ow, my eyes. But then instead, we're gonna hit it with a saturation. And then lower that a little bit. And actually, maybe a warm yellow. It doesn't really change much of it, but then lower that a bit further. Maybe even an overlay? No, that makes it too brown. So kind of like that. Obviously it'll look a lot different when I actually add everything, but that kind of gives me an idea. And I think the background will have to be a little bit darker. So this whole middle, actually not even the whole middle area, because all the lake and stuff is kind of in the fore, but this area back will be a little bit darker. Not a ton, because we still want it to be lighter than the rest of it, but also a lot less saturated because that'll help it separate from the rest of it. So kind of like that. It'll slowly fade into the distance. But yeah, I'm not going to color pick directly from that because I actually don't love how these colors turned out. It's all really muddy. That's probably because I used a big soft brush and just slapped colors on. But that gives us a basic idea. Oh right. Because I had that layer there to show it being dark. So one thing I am going to do is I'm just going to have this black and white layer over the whole top of it. Because what that's gonna do is I'm going to go ahead and turn that to saturation. And then it should be, yeah, no matter what color the thing was underneath, it'll now just appear as black and white. So colored black and white, colored black and white. So that will give me an idea if my values are strong enough in a difference to make sure that it stands out well. But there she is, she's in the scene. I might have to switch her around a little bit. I meant to hide that after, but it's fine. We'll have to scooch her around a little bit, I think. And that is her sketch. So I'm just gonna go ahead and move this actually in sketch, like just on top of the sketch area, so that I don't, you know, that's not good for it, just so that it doesn't get like in the way of the other work that I'm doing here. So yeah, it is past time for the ending of this stream, but honestly, oh, there's no music playing. But I think I might go for a little bit longer. Not too much longer, but I do still want to get some color down in here before I finish off today. So I'm gonna just start with some... Maybe it would be easier to start with the foreground colors. So I'm gonna start... Uh-oh, I can see all the areas where my ores didn't get fully filled in. Oh well, that's fine, it doesn't need to be perfect. So I'm not gonna start with the ores yet, because I don't know which ores I want to do. So I'm just gonna start, or if they might be gems, I'm just gonna start with the rocks. So I've locked all the layers already, so no need to worry about that. I'm gonna keep this, again, still in the aquamarine area. And I'm basically just gonna take... Whoops. That was the wrong tool. I'm gonna take the color that I already laid for it and just add some saturation. Add some color to it. Make this huge. And tint these rocks blue. Did I forget to turn off that layer? I did. That would be why it wasn't working. I was like, why isn't this changing? It's because I didn't turn off the... I'm smart. Okay. But yeah, I'm basically just gonna take each layer type that I did, take the color that I used, and switch it around on the color wheel to where it needs to be. So the moss will be here, and just move it, oops, and just move the color selector here slightly into the actual color of it. So these are also going to be bluish rocks. And again, keeping up towards the green because I really want this piece to be unified. Like that. And this is gonna look really weird at first. This is not how it will turn out in the final, but this will just give us a base to adjust colors from. It is kind of tricky because all of the line art is colored right now, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to see what we're actually doing because it's all kind of bluish, but it will be bluish in the end anyway, so maybe that's fine. For the ores right now, I'm just probably gonna turn them kind of gold because I really like gold, so that's probably gonna be what most of them are. And I'm not a huge fan of silver, and I really do like gold, as you definitely can't tell by my branding. So I'll just make all of the ores gold for now, and then I can obviously change them later if I don't like it. One of the benefits of digital art. So this one up here. Oh, we missed a part of it in the corner. Now that we actually want to repair. We don't want that. And lock it again. slightly into the color. Oh, these ones are going to be fairly far into the color because, you know, it's water, so it's blue, of course, because that's how water works. Kind of. Now this I did do a pretty bright color for, so I'm gonna darken that a little bit, just because this will be like a center gradient out, just because of, you know, it being filled with a glowing animal. And this is gonna be the same, but this one be a bit darker. The oars again. Again, I'm just gonna select a random gold for now, without being too precious about it. Because I should learn to be better at color theory, but I often just choose the colors that I want to go with and then use adjustment layers until it looks how I want it to. I should really get better at doing it the right color that I want from the beginning, because honestly that's just a better practice to have, and it's, you know, smarter for your brain to do. It's just work. Now this one I did something interesting. I put these on the same layer. I'm sure I mentioned why I did that in the moment that I did, but now I am suffering the consequences and must... I'm just gonna duplicate it, and I really only have to erase all the white from this. I just select it. Oop. And erase it. Because I've already got it on that other layer. There we go. And I'm just gonna fill in this corner since I overdid that. And lock it again, and there. So the gray that's on the other layer will just be overlaid anyway. So it does not matter. Actually, I don't know if I really selected. And this color, this will not be that bright. So we'll just turn it into this for now. Yeah, that's different than that one, so it's fine. And far, which will again still not be that bright, but we'll just do a gentle shade there. And I might actually go like with a soft brush layer over top of some of these further back lines, either to add some mist over them, or I might go in with a blur instead to kind of soften some of those so that they fade into the background a little bit more. Again, depends on the style I go with and how it all contrasts against each other. So let's get all these back in here. Oh yeah, the critters. So yeah, I just finished the other squid. I think it might be a bit too big. I think they both might be a bit too big. I might have to shrink those down, but let's just see. Whoops. There's a piece of this layer that's not fit. Oh well. Ah, under the... that. Just so that we at least have a solid base canvas off of. There we go. So that is what we have so far for our very beginning base. Do not fret, do not worry. This is all being altered. So first off, I'm gonna make it darker. Everything back here is too bright. I still want that contrast, but that is like a pure white almost, so we don't want it quite that contrasted. So, let's see here. And also this one, where is moss? Right there at the front. The moss, or the color of the rocks next to the moss is way darker than this color right next to them, so we're gonna just lighten this color up a little bit and do something like that instead. But again, keeping it more towards the warmer, like the aquamarine rather than purpley blue. Actually, this, since it's directly underneath the glow, it might be okay. I guess I really have to decide how I'm rendering this. But let's do the creatures. So the axolotl is going to be a little yellow guy because it makes the most sense to have a little yellow one based on the color palette. He's just gonna be a little yellow guy down there. These glow squids will not be quite this vibrant because most of them is actually kind of dark and then they just have some glowy patches on them. So we're just gonna do that. And I'm just gonna get... hey. Okay. I have to group the squids to move it. Just gonna make them more around the size they would be. So the axolotl has to be even smaller, I think. Or maybe closer in, because I don't want him to be so small that we can't see him. So just group each of these. And he's still falling down the waterfall. Because this one in the background, like... he can actually be way smaller, because he's like pretty far back. I might even kind of hide him a little bit, because he'll be kind of under her legs from here. Maybe I should actually see where she is in relation. So kind of a reveal, but she's not wearing any colors now, so fine. Ooh, I like it. But yeah, that squid, these squids would be huge. These animals are all ginormous right now. So let's make this a little bit more reasonable. Do this one in the back. Man, I'm so glad I did all that work on making those tentacles right. And this is why we copy and paste, kids. Because if I had spent all that time doing all of these tentacles and just did this with them, man, would that be frustrating. But yeah, a little glowy squid down there. Because Minecraft squids are about the size of people, but again, this is kind of far back in the cave. Like, she's overlooking this kind of lake-ish area. It's not a huge one, it's more like an underground pond, but you know. I'm gonna make sure that guy is actually just a little one. Just a teeny guy looking up at her. I think that's a bit closer. Probably, right? Yeah, I might still... maybe this one should be like further out. Like just a little bit covered by her. Because I think it's better overlapping, but I think that's a bit too much because he's like... so maybe just cover a couple of the end tentacles. Like that. I think that works. I can also like add more stuff under here after looking at some more references, so that would be cool too. Or not. It depends on the style of water I go for and the style of everything again. I will have that decided by next time. I know it's so important, but again, since I was working on all this stuff, it wasn't quite getting to that point yet. But now it is definitely at the point where I need to know what I'm doing with the background. So for now, I will, lantern off, lantern on, lantern off, lantern on. But yeah, that whole background's going to be a lot darker, I think. It's going to all be darker, but then there's going to be glows that make some parts of it lighter. It's confusing to figure out beforehand. So, you know. I do it. So that's that for now. I'm just gonna separate out the pieces of gemstone and get those layers ready to work on as well. So this base layer will just be her skin, so it'll just be like her neck and stuff. But then the next layer will be her gems. I'm not gonna fully make them the color that they will be yet. Just gonna leave an indicator. So gotta get close and be careful of where her gems are, but anything that's going under, literally anything but her skin, I can just color straight over that because there will be a layer on top of it. So like her gold bits, there will be a layer on top for those. I do want to be a bit more careful of the lantern just since it's kind of a separate piece. And I am going to get my brush back that has like the pressure variation so that I can be more careful with it. But yeah, I mean, this is basically how you color stuff when you don't know how to select stuff in the right in every program. I just literally color it. I should probably figure that out. I know there's probably something that says sample all layers from the canvas, but I don't know where it would be. So I'm not gonna take the time to figure that out right now. And then next would be the on the next layer would be the gold bits. So now I've got to be careful not to go over the skin and the crystals. And so on and so forth as I go through the whole piece layer by layer. The layers underneath need to not be gone over. But anything over top is fine. But yeah, like these plates on the back of her hand, I don't really know why they're there, but I thought they unified the design and they hid however it connects to the back of her knuckles. Because the front of them, I mean, as you can see on the thumbnail here, it just goes straight in. Like the crystals just attach to her body. I've got to do like a proper character sheet of her someday with like doll anatomy, not wearing anything, so that we can kind of show how they go in. But you can kind of see on my shoulders here in my little pngtuber here as well that they're just in there. There's nothing special connecting them or special joints or anything. They're just literally growing out of me. I'm not sure if I want to be like in character or not as Gemstone. Because it could be fun. Like, especially if I get like a VTuber or something of her. And in Minecraft, if I make her like a character, could be fun. But yeah, normally I just do this with kind of varying colors of this, like varying shades of the same color. But since I'm doing it on stream, I want to keep it a little bit more interesting, so I am using some colors. Probably not the final colors, in fact, definitely not the final colors, but I just thought it would be a bit visually more entertaining if it was done in some semblance of colors. I actually kind of really like this combination so far. This like muted, weird kind of cream. It's like a cream and what would you even call this color? Like a dust? Yeah, like sand? Cream, sand, and then a deep aquamarine. Or a rich aquamarine? Maybe that's more of a teal. Colors are complicated. There's so many names for all the different ones. All the different shades of all the different ones. You'd think as an artist who really likes colors I would know, but I don't really know that much about colors, I just like using them. Story of my life. Because that's literally me, what I just said. Anyway. Actually, that up there would be a part of the corset? Where's her sketch? Other stuff. Outfit? Corset would probably end around there, I would think, since it doesn't go down far. So yeah, that would be just cloth. This cloth under. So the corset ends around the first belt. Wait, no, that makes sense. I'm just gonna leave the outfit up and other stuff instead of going into. No, okay. Yeah, it would be covered by corset, so just to remind myself of that, I will get rid of that. Not lock, cover. There we go. So now we can do corset here. Yeah, there's really not that many colors. And for layers where they're not touching, like the shirt and the pants, how I did them on the same layer, that just makes it a little bit easier to parse sometimes for me, because I like having everything on different layers, but I also not like having a ton of layers, or like not having a ton of layers, so when I can combine things that aren't touching, I do. Just because I feel like it makes it neater or uses up less brain power to remember which is which, something like that. But yeah, so unfortunately the corset can't be combined with any of these other things just because it's touching all of them. Well, actually, I could do the sack. Yeah, this sack here can be on the same layer as that, because that's not actually touching the cord is. Neat. Yeah. Just similar items. Like, if it's like gold and something else, I'll do that on a separate layer. Like, I won't combine completely different materials. But the sack is like burlap and the corset's probably kind of either like leather or another thick material. So they're not like different enough for my brain to need them to be separate. So they're fine on the same one. And then the little belts, again, I don't wanna like, even into the sketch, I don't want to bring too much orange or red into it, because then I might forget that there's not supposed to be any red tones. Because I tend to make my reds and browns, my browns and yellows a lot warmer. So like more into the orange territory, which I do like, but unfortunately doesn't really work for this one. So I'm gonna try to avoid that even in here so that I don't get it too much into my brain. So I'm gonna stick to kind of the duller, yellower browns. Why did I not fit? Left this little patch of cream. Anyway. So yeah, so these belts aren't touching, the cord's not touching, the cork in this bottle is slightly touching, but in like not enough that I don't just combine it anyway, because these are all just little details. The glass is definitely going to be on its own layer just because that'll be semi-transparent. So I want that to be on its own. Sorry, another yawn. Actually, the sash next. So this part here. And the rivets maybe could be on the same one as this. Because I know I just said I don't like combining metals and fabrics on the same layer, but these are such tiny ones. Like if I had more metals on it, like if she had more jewelry on or more stuff like that, then I would probably have them on that layer. But this one just has so little, so I'll just put the sash on the same layer as that. Actually, maybe I could even do the lantern. Yeah, so the lantern metal and the sash and the rivets are all in the same one. And actually, maybe even the potions? No. All that stuff in there will be like its own little separate things. Oh, that cream outfit's actually kind of cute on her though. First I'll get her actual colors. I've got to lock all of these so I don't color outside the lines. So her actual colors is this is kind of duller. It's actually brighter in my pngtuber than I typically have it. I'm not really sure why. I guess I just felt like it that day. But I typically have it this kind of more muted, dulled out shade. Even darker than that, actually. So that it's kind of, you know, it contrasts really well with how bright and vibrant the crystals are. Because they're like real bright. So it just kind of gives them a bit more distance from each other. Because they also have a lot of shine. So the base color doesn't need to be as bright as I'm kind of making. Figure out what shade I want to start with. Maybe not too. Hold down a tiny bit like that. And then this one is the gold. So again, I normally make my golds like really warm golds. But for this I'm going to try and keep it a little bit cooler by sticking more to the gray side of this palette area than I normally do, because her hair is like, the gold is really bright on it, so it's like basically yellow. So I have to shift it a bit more towards the unfortunate greenish yellow hues. Since the glowberries are kind of warmer, maybe I can get away with it, like keeping everything a little bit warmer. It won't be quite as well narrowed down on the color palette, but I'm kind of like replacing the kind of yellow greens with the gold instead. It's like shifting that over. Use it instead of this. Now, what colors did I go with for her clothes? I think I did. Yeah, I went with like a dull gray, kind of a cream, and a brown. Dull gray for the pants. Actually, I really like this color that I did for the corset and sack, so maybe I'll use that for the pants. And I actually really also like the cream that I already have here, so I think I'm just gonna keep those. Obviously the tones will change a lot, but I do really like them. And the corset will be a deeper brown, again trying not to make it too far over into the nicer colors. And then the sack will be a bit less saturated. Maybe even more. Well, I want it to stand out against the pants, so maybe a bit more yellow. Like that. See, even the colors that I do on the same layer for my base don't have to be the same colors in the final. It's just to kind of give me something to work off of. I think it needs to be lighter than the pants to contrast well. Because they're pretty medium pants. But I don't think I want the sack to be super dark, just since it's kind of a burlappy, that type of thing. And again, I really do like this. Like, I like the colors that I selected for these, so maybe I'll use this for the cord. Or I might leave the belts the same. Maybe I could leave the sash that color, but a little bit dulled down. So I'm gonna take this brown, these, and like a little bit since it's really similar to the core. But I still want to keep it different enough from the sack to make sure that they're distinct. Yeah, something like that. Maybe even a little bit more saturated. Because normally I use like a really kind of orangey rich brown for stuff. Because again, I like me that saturation. But I need to learn to break out of that habit a little bit, so good practice. Of course it does have quite a few gaps in it, so I'm just trying to fill these in a little bit just because they're pretty obvious even from further away. Just because they have the brighter colors underneath them. And then this one here is actually the belt over top. Alright. Yeah, just tidying that up a tiny bit. I can't make them any lighter because then it'll really clash against the pants, but I can't really make it any darker with these little belts because then it clashes against the corset. Maybe a tiny bit? Yeah. Just a tiny bit. Still stands out as a separate piece, but also energizes. That, I think I'm just gonna leave those colors. I really like that kind of gold-ish shade that I made there. And yeah. So that's her base colors. Well, oh, I missed coloring the sash underneath the glasses and the belt here. It's like, why is that all kind of messy there? Oopsie. This is supposed to be covering that. Oh. Still part of it. And this is why we lift our pens when we're about to go into a small area, so that we don't undo all the work that we just did. I guess I could have just erased it. Oh, too late now. This area under here, and I'll just leave this background of the glass blue, because that's where it's kind of transparent. So since she's standing in front of a bluish cave, it kind of works that that would be the color under it anyway. If it doesn't work, then I can always adjust it later, but might as well leave it since I don't know. And I can add the extra layers that I need for those when I'm rendering them. But for now, so those are her base. I don't like this color. I even made it like too yellow in my pngtuber as well, I guess. Again, I want it to be like a gold, not so much a yellow. It's too dark. Yeah, that's closer. There we go. Easy peasy. It looks a little bit less bright, but it's still closer to the point of what I was going for. Nice. So that's her. I'm not gonna add any like any embroidered or any details because again, adventuring clothes, that doesn't need to be fancy, it's just for structure and support. So, boom. Yeah, I kind of like having it all gold ore because that ties back into her hair. But there we have some of the base of it. And now, I mean, we might as well. We might as well just color the vines, right? I'll do them one at a time so that I can see what I'm doing. So, I'm just gonna select some of the colors. So I'm gonna bring the axolotl color. Well, maybe not. Her gold color? Maybe the berries are kind of their own. I'll just use the axolotl color for now to do the berries. Whoops. Gotta lock it. I might tint them even more yellow. Like, even more orange. I know that's exactly what I said I wouldn't do, but I just have to. Make sure those are all locked. And for the brown, I'm gonna pull out this one from on her. And that is for all the vines, the leaves. I guess I don't have any. Oh, well, I have the moss green. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the moss green and just lighten it a little bit for the leaves here. Maybe yellow it a little bit as well. Oh, I likey. I likey how it looky. Alright. Nice. And I'm just gonna keep these showing for each one, so I'm just gonna... Bleh! I forgot to lock all of them. I'm just gonna go ahead and keep each layer visible as I go along so that I can just color pick straight from the last layer. I'm gonna use whatever color I ended up with last to do that first instead of doing them in any specific order, because that would be foolish. Whoops. I may have to zoom in to get some of the colors. And again, the outline color on the leaves will probably change. I can already tell that I'm gonna end up like adding more orange overlay tints to all of this stuff because, like I said, I don't like the green yellow, so maybe it is gonna be half of the color wheel after all. But I think that's okay. And lock them all because I was about to do the same thing again. Make sure everything is thoroughly covered. And very... Oops. I did do it again. Would have figured. Yeah, look how thick those are. Nice. And these ones actually have some overlapping. I probably will eventually actually make the ones in front even brighter. Like change the hues for depending how far back they are, but again that's kind of once I get to the rendering stage. The line art, coloring and stuff like that. I sometimes learn from my mistakes and sometimes refuse to, apparently. And berries. Wow. That is a tangled mess of vines, but that's how vines be sometimes, so I guess, yeah. Hopefully it looks okay. But now, it's time to see it with the background. First I want to check if she's actually in front of any vines. She is. She's supposed to be. They're not foreground elements. Okay, ready? You can't see them because of the tones I use. Alright. So this gives kind of a basic overview. I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. Obviously the colors are wrong. They're just straight up wrong right now. They're just muddy and messy and all over the place. They're not going to be like that eventually. We just wanted to get all the base colors in there. All the bases in there to start with. I promise it gets better from here. But yeah, I think it's coming along pretty well. I think I've got to look up like a color palette or make one so that I could get the proper gradation of everything. But again, like I said, a lot of my shading and lighting and stuff is done in the layer styles that I use, not in the base colors. So all of this can be altered very easily using all those. Like, if I just add a detailed shading layer, a basic like a overall shading layer, and a couple glow layers, and maybe a couple more basic shading layers, it'll really just... It could bring this entire thing to life, but I want to do a bit more with the color this time. Since this is such a color-centric piece, like it's such a nice color palette, I really want to learn how to use it properly. So, I may try and do that a bit better. I also might try and bring the gem back because unfortunately these vines kind of cut off that corner of it and these vines cut off that corner. So it kind of hides the gem shape more than I would like it to. But yeah, there is not quite enough contrast between all these. As you can see, all these grays kind of fade together. So these are going to be changed, the shades of them and stuff. It doesn't help that the line art is colored wrong right now. Not right, wrong now. Wrong right now. Anyway, so that doesn't help. That definitely muddies it a lot more because I used kind of like an aqua. Because it was nicer to do while I was coloring it, but also I forgot how much a pain of it is to switch later. Not that I wouldn't have anyway, because no matter what color I would have had to switch it, but I have a lot of layers with lines on them. And that's why I labeled them all. So, it is... It's coming along. Progress has been made. I may do just some playing around of colors off stream because that could take quite a while to get them right. Because honestly, the adjustments for colors can be so minute and make such a big difference in the shade and tone of it, so I'm probably gonna try and play with that off stream. I don't want to like do anything major, but I might just change the base colors to be more suitable to our needs. And also the line colors. Well, the line colors can depend on the final color it ends up being, but I might go ahead and make them all just black anyway, just to start with a neutral base. Because if they're blue, then that can really throw everything off. But if they're black, the best I can do, or like the worst I can do, is like how they look stark black and leave them that way. The best, or something else that could happen, I guess, is that I just change them to the colors that are accurate. But the colors won't be affected by the overall blue of the already existing lines. So I'm probably going to do that right after the stream, actually. Just switch out all the colors to black, because it'll just be tedious going through the line layers on here, so. Actually, no, I think... Sorry I'm so indecisive. I think it would help leave an image of something a bit closer in my mind. The lines for her already used kind of a darker color for, so I think those should be fine for now. But I want to see how it looks, and it's really hard to tell right now. So I'm just going to switch the lines to almost a pure black. I'm going to be a little bit above it just so that it's not too aggressive. But these are the farthest back lines. Ooh, that looks crisp. Oh, because of the line style, it looks kind of comic-y. Ooh, like comic book-esque. Maybe I will end up just with black lines after all. But maybe not. We'll have to see as it goes. Just gonna go ahead with each of these. Yeah, I guess it isn't taking that long, just because I have a big brush and I labeled them. Now I kind of wish I had done thinner lines on it all. Kind of really stark, but that's why I would change the line art, so that probably will end up happening, to just match the colors to everything that they're gonna be. But this definitely gives us a better idea for color. Go ahead and delete that now. Back. And I've got to do each of these. Just gonna hide, so that I make sure I don't miss any parts. and not color in the vines because those are just staying like that. Even if I don't end up coloring the line art, those will probably just end up staying brown like that. Not totally sure because now that I'm looking at it, it actually looks kind of weird, but also kind of cool. I don't know. I don't really have a usual style, so I guess I can't say it's not my usual style, but it's odd. It's kind of pop art. Like it's reminding me of pop art a little bit for some reason, which is weird because I don't really ever have anything to do with pop art. I don't know that much about it or anything, but oops. Yeah, she only has 3 line layers, so it's not that hard to change them, so I'm just gonna do that. Okay. So, again, looks a little rough right now, just because of the colors. That definitely gives me a clearer idea of how it's looking, but we need more warmer tones. I think I'm gonna definitely warm up all those oranges and golds, make them a lot more orange tinted. I'll see. I might try and stick with these because I really want to try color palettes, but I don't know, something about my brain just really likes the contrast of different types of colors. So we'll see how it goes. I'll try out a couple alterations, base colors, but that will probably be it for now. We made a decent amount of a pretty good amount of progress. It has been 3 hours, but we did all of Gemstone's lines and base colors on everything, even though they will be changed as we go along. I already knew that. But just to get a good idea of what was going on. So here's where we stand right now. It looks very comic book-esque. Like, if I just added thick black shadows in a lot of parts of it, thickened up the lines around Gemstone, I think it would work as a comic book style piece. If I added like two-tone shading and stuff, then it would look very comic spread-y. But I don't want to do that because I'm not, like, I think that style is really impressive, but I'm not the hugest fan of it, so probably won't do that. But that is where I'm going to leave it for now. Thank you all for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed the progress so far. We will be working on actually rendering it next time. Now that that is the next step, I will be doing research to pick a rendering style. Maybe trying out a couple off stream, but we'll see how it goes. That's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. Farewell, and have a wonderful day.